Ooh, I had a frog in my throat from like the second sentence, and I was like, can I make it through without going... Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Tues Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the crown Jules of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you, yes, you the person who went to a Warhammer tournament and didn't lose all of their battles, yay! 2-3, I'm happy with that for my first tournament result. Anyway, yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week. And this week we have none other to thank than Peritus Noob for their suggestion of video games that were ruined by one specific character. And this is the thing, when it comes to video games, characters can indeed make or break the experience. When you think of Final Fantasy 15 about going on tour with the lads, it's all about the boys, if you know what I'm saying. But if one of those was a cheeky little scrote who decided to turn the window up every time he let one rip in there, you'd be booting him out into the trunk as soon as you hit the gas station, right? But unfortunately, these games here were completely derailed by such stinky experiences. So let's take a look, as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video games that were ruined by one specific character. And you know the drill by now. Say hi to me here in the live chat and also put your suggestions for next week's episode down in the comments section below. But with this in mind, let's get on with that list. Number 8. Fi. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. So, when the almighty Skyward Sword was announced that it was going to be the next one that Nintendo was going to give the old rubber-dub-dub-dub-dub-dub treatment to, fans had but one question, and it didn't have anything to do with graphical fidelity, nor if it was going to be focusing on the quality of life improvements, or the rather dubious decision to lock fast travel behind a bloody amiibo, but it was all centered around one character in particular, Fi. And that question was, are we going to be able to tell her to shut the f*** up? And lo and behold, yes, you could finally mute this rogue AI, instantly putting this remaster into the 10 out of 10 category for many, as she really did destroy the experience of the original. After nearly every new item, object of interest or location, Fi would pop up to tell the player some hilarious stats and facts about the situation. Something that killed the pacing absolutely stone dead. It would be like trying to record one of these, but then James intersecting every sort of 10 seconds.
Well, let me stop you there, Jules. Let me tell you about this brand new newsletter that I've got.
I assume he's doing that right now. I don't care, mate. Stop sending me your newsletters. James's big bass, I put it in the trash every time it pops up.
Nah. It's James's big ass. The B is silent, Jules.
Oh, in that case then I'll resubscribe. Infuriated players would begin mashing the skip button the moment that she popped up, and it was even worse when she decided to pause the bloody action to tell you that your controller needed charging. I mean, bless her, Fi's heart was in the right place. I mean, she was just trying to help, but unfortunately, it was akin to having your little brother or sister walk in while you're trying to play a game and just ask you tons and tons of questions about what's going on as you do it. You're like, you can't be mad at them because they're young and they don't know any better, but at the same time, off like. Number 7, Hope, Final Fantasy 13. Oh, I tell you, for a character called Hope, it sure is ironic that this one will make you abandon all of yours. I'm here every night, because I'm locked in. That's him drinking himself to death, apparently, is it? Right. Now, to be clear, Final Fantasy 13 is easily one of the weakest entries in the entire franchise, but that doesn't mean that it's entirely bereft of charm. I mean, sure, its battle system basically plays itself, and the game doesn't ever really open up until about 10 hours in, and the plot does feel like scrapings that even Hideo Kojima thought were a bit too silly, but where was I going with this again? Oh yeah, the characters. They suck for the most part as well, but at least they have enough personality to pull you through most of the game. Hope, on the other hand, well, he's a literal charisma vacuum. Whenever he's on screen, it feels like the game just sighs and rolls over and just waits to be kicked to death by critics and fans, as there is precisely zero reason to enjoy his character or his arc. Whiny, timid, and thoroughly unlikable. It sounds like my bad Tinder profile, and it didn't work for me there either, and it's not working for me here as a character. And you know when party members join the group and they usually have like a line or two explaining their skills or their drive to pitch in and help out? Well, Hope, he joins the party with this absolute clanger. I'll try to watch out for you too. Try? I'll try and help you. Are you kidding me, mate? I'm sorry that saving the world requires you to lift more than a finger occasionally. I tell you what, if your schedule is too busy to help me out, why don't you just run home to your mum? Oh wait, you can't, because she's dead. That felt a bit harsh, that one, actually. Number 6, Slippy Toad, Star Fox franchise. Slippy Toad! Here we are again. We meet again in the gladiatorial arena of wits and words. Slippy, me old mucker, you just are an absolute dog scrotum, aren't you? I physically feel sick every time I've got to talk about you, because it creates this kind of depressive war flashback scenario for me, because every single time I look at your dumb, gormless face, I get reminded of how many hours of my life I've spent saving you. For what purpose? I genuinely, unequivocally hate you. Saving Slippy completely derailed the fun of Star Fox almost exclusively. But you know what also annoys me is that for some strange reason, this absolute waste of programming time actually has its defenders.
Slippy's actually useful. Slippy's an integral part of the team. I love how his voice sounds like his scrotum's being masticated by an alpaca.
And can he get me head around it? As if we're being honest, the ability to see an enemy's health bar, which is Slippy's one contribution to gameplay, is utterly pointless, as all bosses have the same amount of health, so what does it bloody matter? Plus, to call this fella integral is like saying that you're the head chef of your kitchen when you live alone and cook for no one. It's an utter fallacy, as his role is quite literally just to be saved. Every single enemy in the game has the ability to take this guy down, so it makes you ask the question, why even bother bringing him along on these missions? Do they feel sorry for him? Is that why he's along? Just to be like, oh yeah, cool, like bring him along, yeah, because otherwise he'd be sitting on the ship just twiddling his toes. Let him, at least he can't get anyone else in trouble then. Number 5, the narrator, BIOMUTANT. So, narrators in video games can sometimes be an utter blessing, whether it's the dulcet tones of the narrator from Bastion commenting on all of your actions and offering insightful moments of comedy, or just the sly smugness of Varric when he's talking about our adventures in Dragon Age 2. It just can create some truly amazing moments. But the narrator from BIOMUTANT is no such weaver of wonder. In fact, he's quite possibly the most annoying character in the entire game. And lest we not forget, this is a title in which NPCs speak to you like Banjo-Kazooie rejects. Every single action is commented on, whether it's the moveset that you're unleashing on opponents, the state of the town that you're in, or weirdly about the weather above ground when you're exploring caves 100 feet below. Nearly everything this narrator says is completely and utterly superfluous. His only job is to translate the garbled mess of grunts that the NPCs spout, and even then manages to be almost dismissive in doing so, giving us vague interpretations of their speech. I mean, you're not doing a great job as a narrator, are you, when you're basically doing that? It'd be like James saying this.
Yeah.
It would be like me taking that and then telling you that what they were actually talking about is what they were having for dinner tonight. I know that's not what they were talking about, and now I'm very scared. This, coupled with the cringeworthy naming conventions that litter this title, make you beg for the ability to bring this voice in the sky screaming back down to terra firma. And such was the utter backlash against this annoying announcer that the devs even pushed through a patch to turn his speech down to the bare bloody minimum. Know what, my friend? That's not enough. Mute. Number 4, 343 Guilty Spark, Halo Combat Evolved. Now, while the franchise in its current state might be trying to claw its way back into the upper echelons of the gaming pantheon, there is no denying that the original Halo Combat Evolved, had some utter heft. It was the meatiest of dongers, and it was waving it all around, just saying, look at what I got. Look at all this meaty goodness. However, if we're being honest, Halo is not a perfect game. In fact, one character and the levels associated with them actively sought to destroy everything the game was up until that point. So much so that many decry these interactions as some of the worst in the entire series. I'm speaking, of course, about 343 Guilty Spark and those bloody library sections. Nothing in gaming since has so expertly crushed the pacing, atmosphere, and enjoyment of a title quite like these moments, as being funneled through a boring copy-paste section with confusing layouts, waves of rough-as-brick enemies, and doing so to the soundtrack of a smarmy AI with way too much sass for its own good is a combination that should be used on war criminals to make them confess. Bad level design, terrible pacing, and a very, very annoying character. Is it any wonder that when people talk about Halo, they kind of tend to skip over these sections when championing what makes that game great? 343, more like... F*** off. Number 3, Preston Garvey, Fallout 4. If there is one thing that the Fallout games do exceptionally well, whether it's from the minds of Black Isle Studios, Bethesda, or Obsidian, it is immersion. No matter which wasteland you end up wandering through, each is going to be jam-packed with content, story beats, and world building, so much so that it's easy to project yourself into this horrifying hellscape. There's nothing quite like taking on a fierce gang of super mutants, or negotiating a tricky trade deal, or even dooming an entire portion of the game world with just a single choice. But equally, there's nothing quite like having that immersion broken by Mr. Don't Forget You're Playing a Video Game, aka Preston Bloody Garvey. Now, to be clear, if Preston was a real person and was my friend, he would actually probably be one of my best friends. Sorry, James, I know that's hard for you to hear. Because he's that type of person that's got a righteous sense of justice. He's got a good head on his shoulders, a really kind heart. It's so kind, in fact, that he would probably offer to help you move at a moment's notice and not even ask you for the last slice of Mover's pizza. That's a good guy. However, in-game, he's a bloody nightmare, popping up routinely to tell you that settlements need your help, basically tying an anchor to the experience that you're already having. Shockingly, Preston, I don't fancy trekking back 20 minutes down the road to shoot 2 raiders in the face because Farmer Gubbins was having his cabbages molested. I don't give a toss. Do you know why? Because I'm knee-deep in Deathclaw. But Preston's sense of duty will hit you again and again like an early alarm on Monday morning. No, Preston, stop. If I don't get up, the weekend's still on.
Another settlement.
Living for the weekend. Number 2, Pawns, Dragon's Dogma. So when it comes to RPGs, it seems like every single title on the block has to have a gimmick and push said USP very bloody hard indeed. And for Dragon's Dogma, that system was the Pawns, a kind of, well, very creepy mechanic in which you had blank humanoid creatures do all of your bidding for you. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this was a little odd, especially considering as the game states that these beings, also known as Myrmidons, I don't know how to pronounce this, Myrmidons, Pawns, have no free will or emotions of their own and will do literally anything they're told without question, which itself raises a ton of ethical and shady moral questions. But you know what, to be honest, the only question that you'll find yourself asking over and over is, how do I shut you the f*** up? Seriously, there are only so many times that I can hear Harpy being screamed at me like I'm in a COD lobby full of 12-year-olds before I've had enough. And you know what? That number is precisely one f***ing time. It completely derails a tense fight when you've got some absolute blunderhead just belting out useless information to you. But the worst thing about it is that if you do want them to kind of tone it down a little bit, the game is sure as hell going to make you feel guilty about it, because you have to sit them down in the naughty chair and basically say, can you just... And that entire situation, when you already consider that they've got no free will of their own, it borderlines on cruel. It's a weird mechanic. And number 1, OTIS, Dead Rising. Oh, OTIS, you glorious bastard, you. Quite why you decided to use the background of a zombie apocalypse as your launching pad to try and annoy the player to the grave and beyond is anyone's guess. But here we are, stuck between getting our face munched on by the undead or having our ear bitten off by you. Otis is like so many others on this list, and that he actually does mean well, often trying to inform Frank of new survivors or of interesting people who want to turn his skin into a coat, but it's the delivery of this information that makes him so utterly detested by the player, to the point that it actively hampered the experience. His plan, it seems, was to always buzz Frank at the worst time every time on the walkie-talkie, and would actually get annoyed at you for doing, little things like trying not to die. And while Dead Rising's tone is pretty tongue-in-cheek, it's stressful enough to elicit screams of terror while trying to escape the horde, so yes, we don't have time to talk right now. In fact, so encroaching was Otis's anger on the players that there are tons and tons of online forums asking the question, is there any way to turn this guy off? And unfortunately, no, there was not. You're stuck with him in the mall, and maybe that's the scariest thing about this game. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 video games that were ruined by one specific character. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. If you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice. It's where I do all of my Warhammer content. You might have seen the painting table over there. Death Copters are the order of today for the new Orc stuff that's coming out. Huzzah! But yeah, go check me out there if you want to watch us do battle reports and live streams and stuff like that. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Hope you're treating yourself well, my friends. It's getting hotter out there. People are getting angry. People are getting moody. But remember, at the end of the day, to treat yourself with love and respect. Allow yourself to cool off when things outside, be they in society or literally from the heat, are getting a little bit too much, all right? Just treat yourself with love, respect, and kindness, because you deserve each and every one of those things, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. You're a massive ledge. Now go out there and be the cool guy. I know you are. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.